The Skybridge Treehouse. Luca never liked waking up early, especially on Saturdays. But that morning, something odd pulled him out of bed before the sun had even risen. There was a sound, creak, creak, tap, tap, coming from the backyard. Curious and half asleep, he stumbled to the window, rubbed his eyes, and gasped. A massive tree had grown overnight right in the middle of his backyard. It wasn't there yesterday. Luca was sure of it. The backyard had always been flat with patches of grass and a worn-out swing set. But now, towering into the sky, stood an enormous tree with twisting silver bark and shimmering leaves that changed color with the wind: gold, teal, deep purple. In its branches, nestled like a bird's nest, sat the most beautiful treehouse Luca had ever seen. He blinked, once, twice. The tree was still there. Without even changing out of his pajamas, Luca threw on his sneakers and raced outside. The air smelled like cinnamon and rain, even though it hadn't rained in weeks. The tree's bark shimmered under the morning light, and there, carved into the base, was a single word glowing softly: climb. Luca didn't hesitate. With each step upward, the wooden planks beneath his feet seemed to shift slightly, adjusting to his size and pace. The higher he went, the more the world below disappeared: his backyard, his house, even the sound of traffic in the distance. When he reached the top, he stepped into the treehouse, and everything changed. It wasn't just a house. It was a gateway. The walls were made of glass that shimmered with reflections of strange lands. Floating lanterns danced above his head. Maps moved on their own. And in the center, hanging in midair, was a glowing blue bridge, transparent like crystal, leading out of the treehouse and into the clouds. A voice startled him. "Finally! We were wondering when you'd arrive," said a girl in a cloak made of feathers. She stood beside a talking fox with fur like burning embers and eyes that sparkled with stars. Who are you?" Luca asked, heart pounding with excitement and fear. "I'm Marla," the girl said with a grin. "This is Finny. And you, Luca, have been chosen. The Skybridge only appears for those whose hearts are still brave enough to dream." "Chosen for what?" "To help fix what's broken," the fox said solemnly. The Skybridge is falling apart. The winds between worlds are unraveling. Without someone to light the path, the portals will close forever. Luca gulped. "But I'm just a kid." "All heroes are," said Marla. "Now come on. You've already taken the first step." Luca followed them onto the glowing bridge. As they walked, the clouds below danced like waves. Every step forward felt like stepping deeper into a dream. They passed floating islands with upside-down trees, rivers that flowed in loops, and singing stones that echoed their names. But the bridge began to flicker. "We have to reach the Heartleaf before nightfall," Finny said, ears twitching. "It's the source of all the bridges. If it goes dark, we're stuck here." They ran. Suddenly, a shadow passed overhead. A storm bird, massive and dark, with wings as wide as mountains, screeched and dove toward them. Luca froze, but Marla grabbed his hand and leapt sideways off the bridge. They fell, and fell, until the wind slowed and leaves caught them like a hammock. Below, the Skybridge shimmered, barely holding together. We need a shortcut, Luca panted. Finny nodded and sniffed the air. There's an old tunnel beneath the mushroom glen. Dangerous, but faster. They crawled through glowing roots, slid down vines that purred when touched, and tiptoed through fields of dandelions that whispered secrets. Through it all, Luca felt something warm blooming in his chest, not fear, but wonder. He had never felt more alive. When they finally reached the Heartleaf, the sky had turned lavender. The giant glowing tree in the center of a floating island pulsed like a heartbeat. But its light was fading. The bridges need a keeper, Marla said. Someone kind. Brave. Full of questions and wonder. Luca stepped forward. As he touched the Heartleaf, it bloomed with golden light, and all the bridges flickered back to life, arcing across the sky like rainbow threads. You did it, whispered Finny. The wind swirled around Luca. He felt lighter, as if the world was lifting him up. Then the light grew too bright. And he woke up. He was back in bed. Sunlight streamed through the window. The backyard was empty. No tree. No bridge. No fox or girl. Except, something had changed. There was a glowing feather on his desk. And a piece of silver bark tucked in his pajama pocket. Luca smiled. Maybe it had all been a dream. Maybe it hadn't. But one thing was certain, he'd never look at an ordinary tree the same way again.